Discover the incredible recipe from this single dad chef that left a billionaire mom in tears. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, there was a humble diner that did more than serve food. It brought warmth, heart, and community together. Jake, a hard-working single dad in his late 30s, stood behind the grill, flipping pancakes and frying eggs with a loving touch that only a father could muster. Each morning, the air filled with the delicious aromas of his grandmother's cherished recipes that told stories of love and heritage. Little Emily, with her bright smile and twinkling eyes, always darted around the diner, helping her dad and spreading joy to the local patrons who walked through the door. But as the sun began to rise and his dreams seemed to fade, Jake felt the pressures of reality closing in. Economic hardship gripped him tight, threatening their simple life, and dreams of a brighter future felt tangled in shadows. Yet, Jake pushed through. For her every smile, every playful giggle from Emily reminded him of what was at stake. He poured love into every dish he prepared, thinking of his grandma as he served customers who became like family. Then came the announcement that sparked a buzz throughout the town: a prestigious food competition was arriving. Jake's heart raced. This could be the chance he needed to lift him and Emily out of this cycle of struggle. But as flyers circulated, it became clear he wasn't the only contestant. Claire, a wealthy single mother and high-powered entrepreneur, strutted into town with an air of superiority that made everyone give her a second glance. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that she viewed him, a mere diner cook, as nothing more than an amateur among pros. The energy in the town shifted as each chef prepared for the competition, and tensions brewed when Jake saw Claire's dismissive glances at his diner. He wanted to shout, "Don't you see the love in the food?" But silence hung heavy in the air, frustrations rising within him like boiling water on a stove. The day of the competition dawned, and fate dealt an unexpected hand. Jake and Claire were paired for a challenge: create the ultimate comfort meal. The kitchen buzzed, heat rising alongside their emotions. In the chaos, their opposing worlds collided. Claire's precision and Jake's heartfelt instincts clashed, but as they struggled, walls began to crumble. It wasn't just about food, it was about family, sacrifice, and what success truly meant. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Claire tasted the dish they created together, she felt something shift inside her. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not the tears of loss but of understanding. She had never experienced the kind of heart Jake infused in every bite. He spoke of his struggles as a father, his commitment to Emily, and the generations that preceded him. Here was a man who didn't just cook, he poured his soul into his work. Would this deep-seated emotion challenge her view of success? Judges' deliberations drew closer. The question loomed: could Jake's heartfelt comfort meal stand a fighting chance against Claire's polished facade? The air quivered with anticipation. Would a simple diner dish hold the power to change perceptions in a world that often overlooks the families behind the recipes? As the judges gathered around the table, the electric atmosphere shifted. Jake's heart raced, it felt like a drum inside his chest. He glanced at Emily, who sat in the front row, her small hands clenching the edge of her seat as she watched her dad with wide eyes. He couldn't shake the fear of disappointing her. As he stood there, stirring the pot of his grandmother's special gravy, the weight of his struggles pressed heavily upon him. Claire, on the other hand, was composed, wiping a tear from her eye as she readied herself to speak. The moment was surreal, the two of them, from such different worlds, standing side by side, their fates intertwined by a dish born from love and hardship. It was as if the universe had drawn a line between their lives, and now it blurred. "I have lived a privileged life," Claire began, her voice steady but infused with emotion. But what Jake taught me today is that success is more than accolades and trophies. It's about heart and family. This dish made me feel connected. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Did she really understand what he had put into their meal? The judge's gaze shifted toward him, probing, seeking the story behind the simmering pot. The silence was punctuated by the aroma wafting through the air, a blend of nostalgia, warmth, and hope. He cleared his throat, trying to keep his composure. For me, cooking is not just about recipes. It's about memories, my daughter, and my grandma. This dish, it carries pieces of them in every bite. The sincerity in his voice radiated around the room, drawing nods and murmurs of approval from the seated judges. As they each took another bite, the air thickened with emotion. A moment of quiet settled in, the kind that feels suspended in time, causing hearts to beat louder. Then, from behind the judges' table, a resonant voice broke the silence. "The passion you both brought to this meal is undeniable," one of the judges remarked, his eyes glistening. "But this dish, Jake's dish, encompasses the very essence of what comfort food should invoke." The profound depth of his words struck Jake harder than he expected. For a split second, he felt as if the shadows that had loomed over him for so long began to lift. As deliberations continued, Jake caught sight of Emily. She was beaming, her eyes reflecting the pride he sometimes thought he would never achieve. For the first time in a long while, he felt a glimmer of hope spark inside him. But just as he allowed himself to bask in that feeling, Claire's voice interrupted his thoughts. "We're a team, after all. I wouldn't be here without Jake's heart in this dish." There was a tinge of vulnerability in her eyes, and for the first time, it hit him, they were both fighting the same fight, albeit from opposing ends of the spectrum. The judges leaned forward, their heads together, deep in conversation, while Jake and Claire exchanged glances, an unspoken connection simmering between them as they realized the bond woven through their collective struggle. And then, amidst the anticipation, one of the judges cleared his throat. "It's time to reveal the winner." Jake's heartbeat quickened. Would they see the love behind his food, or would he simply return to the diner with his dreams unfulfilled? Every soul in the room hung in the balance as the judge prepared to announce the name that could change everything. What would it mean for both of them: success, failure, or perhaps a new journey entirely? The room seemed to hold its breath. Jake's palms went slick against the cool countertop as he awaited the judge's words. Moments dripped away like melting ice, each tick of the clock echoing louder in his ears. He cast a sidelong glance at Claire. She was biting her lip, eyes focused intently on the judge, as if her gaze could will the outcome. The judge, a seasoned culinary expert with an aura of authority, adjusted his glasses. Today's competition was about more than just the food. It was about the stories behind the food, the passion that fuels them. He paused, scanning the audience, drawing out the suspense. Jake could feel the warmth of Emily's gaze across the room. There were times when he could feel her belief in him straining against the weight of their reality. Just that small flicker of faith from her lit a fire deep inside him. He wanted to do this for her, show her what dreams could be made of if only one dared to chase them. "And so," the judge finally continued, "it's with great pleasure that I announce the winner of our competition today." The air grew heavier, every heart in the room hanging on the edge of eternity. Jake. The name came bursting through the silence like the pop of a firework, bright and unexpected. Before he could fully process the announcement, a wave of sound surged from the audience. Gasps, cheers, and the sound of small hands clapping. Emily's ecstatic squeal cut through the noise, wrapping around him like a warm blanket. In that instant, Jake's heart soared. He watched her leap from her seat, arms flung wide open, her joy radiant as she ran to him. "Dad! You did it!" she exclaimed, enveloping him in an embrace that felt like the whole world coming together in one moment. Tears threatened to spill from his eyes as he knelt down to her level, pulling her close. The weight of all his struggles, his doubts, everything that had plagued his mind began to dissolve in the joy of their shared moment. Claire was smiling too, her hands over her heart. She stepped closer, a genuine sparkle in her eyes. I knew you could do it, Jake. You have something special to offer. The sincerity in her words sank deep, reigniting that connection they had found amidst the chaos of their competition. But the whirlwind of emotions didn't stop there. The judge approached him, extending a hand, his smile wide. Your dish wasn't just food. It told a story. It spoke of love and perseverance. And that's what truly matters in cooking. All of this felt surreal, like the world outside had faded away. In that room full of judges and onlookers, it was just him, Emily, and Claire, three souls woven together by a shared experience. Yet, as applause thundered around them, a nagging thought crept in the back of his mind. What came next? Winning this competition was one thing, but how would it change their lives? Would he finally be able to create the better future he dreamed of for Emily? As the reality of his win settled over him, Jake glanced between Claire and Emily, knowing their journeys were just beginning. What would he do with his newfound success? The whispers of uncertainty lingered in the air, subtly reminding him that with success came responsibility. As they stood there, wrapped in the aftermath of victory, he wondered what the next twist in their intertwined lives would bring. Would the competition unite them further, or would the pressures of success begin to tear at the fabric they had just started to weave? The future loomed ahead, full of possibility and uncertainty. Jake stood in the middle of the chaos, surrounded by applause and the joyful shouts of celebration, but his heart raced with uncertainty. He had won, yes, but the weight of tomorrow pressed heavily on his shoulders. What did this victory mean for him and Emily? Would he be able to sustain this fleeting moment of success? Still kneeling, he pulled Emily tighter, feeling the warmth of her body against his. You're my good luck charm, he whispered, laughter bubbling up as he brushed a stray hair from her face. I knew you could do it. Emily beamed with pride, her small hands still gripping his shirt. Her unwavering faith grounded him in ways he hadn't anticipated. The crowd began to disperse, friends and family flooding toward him with congratulations. Claire waited a few steps back, catching his eye. She smiled, but there was a flicker of something deeper there, a mixture of excitement and hesitation. What was she feeling? Jake pushed to his feet, holding Emily close to him. Let us go talk to Claire, huh? As they approached, Claire's expression brightened like the dawn, the remnants of suspense lifting like morning fog. You really deserve this, Jake, she said, reaching out for a high five with Emily. That dish was brilliant. Thanks. I couldn't have done it without your guidance, he replied, sincerity ringing in his voice. But in the back of his mind, doubts gnawed at him. It was one thing to win a competition, and another to flourish in the world they had set out to tackle together. Suddenly, a voice broke through his thoughts. Jake. A well-dressed woman approached with an air of authority. Her face radiated enthusiasm, and she held an envelope tightly in her hand. The crowd parted, allowing her easy access. Congratulations. I'm Eleanor Finch from Culinary Ventures. Jake's heart raced. He had read about her, the woman who mentored chefs, connecting them with investors and opportunities. Thank you, he managed, his throat tight. I have a proposal for you. She gestured toward a nearby table where a few guests were discussing plans over drinks. Let us chat over there. I think you've got something special that deserves to be shared. The proposal hung in the air like a tantalizing aroma. Jake's pulse quickened. This could be it. The moment he had dreamed of, the chance to elevate their lives. But his heart dipped as he glanced at Emily, so full of hope. Hey, this could be an amazing opportunity. Just think what it could mean for our future. Claire urged, excitement lighting her features. He swallowed hard, weighing the possibility against the fear of failure. What if he took a step that spiraled out of control? Could all of this, the joy, the togetherness, survive the pressures of a bigger dream? Let us do it, he found himself saying, surprised by the sudden rush of determination. But I need you both by my side. As they walked to the table, Jake felt the thrill of new beginnings mixed with the chill of fear. He was stepping into the unknown, guided by nothing but instinct and love. What if this led to something transformative? What would it take to keep their bond strong as real life began to unfold? The room buzzed with excitement, but Jake's mind raced with questions. Was he ready for the spotlight? Would his relationships withstand the looming challenges? His hand tightened around Emily's small one, a silent promise to protect their world amidst whatever storms lay ahead. As he sat down at the table, surrounded by bright-eyed faces and potential, he caught Claire's glance. She was smiling, but there was something else there, a connection that hinted at unspoken words yet to come. Would they be ready for what was around the corner? Could chasing this dream tear them apart, or would it pull them closer together? The future beckoned, and Jake could feel the stirrings of change swirling in the air. He couldn't look back now, he had to leap into this new endeavor. But what would that leap cost him? And what would it mean for the love he was so desperate to protect? The clock was ticking, and he had to decide where his journey would lead them next. Would he dare to unleash his culinary vision, or would fear hold him back from reaching the stars? Jake sat in the midst of chatter, the excitement of the room pulsing around him like a beating heart. He stole glances at Emily, whose large eyes sparkled with awe at the unfolding scene. She clutched his hand tightly, as if tethering him to this moment, and Jake couldn't help but wonder if she felt the gravity of what was at stake. Eleanor took the lead, her voice smooth and confident. "Jake, you have genuine talent. I want to help you share it with the world. But there's a lot to consider. It's more than just cooking, it's about business, branding, and public perception." His stomach nodded. The world of culinary arts had always been a passion for him, a realm where he could forget his worries. But now, it threatened to morph into something intimidating. I get that. But I'm not an entrepreneur. I've just focused on cooking." "Exactly. That's where I come in," Eleanor said, leaning in slightly. "Together, we can create a platform to showcase your abilities. Think about a food blog, a cooking channel, even a line of products." Claire's eyes gleamed as she envisioned it. "You could have a cookbook. Everyone loves a heartfelt story with delicious recipes. Emily and your journey could become a huge part of it." Jake felt the warmth of Emily's hand and the weight of expectation creeping in. "And what if I fail?" he blurted out. "What if this dream turns into a nightmare?" "It's a risk, yes," Eleanor replied, unfazed. "But life is about taking chances. You've already proven yourself today, Jake. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have what it takes." He thought about his cooking, the late nights spent preparing meals for Emily and the joy it brought them both. That was simple and pure. The idea of stepping into a life where his creations could be scrutinized felt like jumping off a precipice with no safety net. "Let me think about it," he finally said, drawing in a breath. He knew the hesitation sounded weak, but the prospect of failure loomed over him like a storm cloud. "Of course. Just don't take too long," Eleanor smiled, but there was a hint of seriousness in her eyes. "Opportunities don't last forever." As they shifted topics, Jake felt the buzzing energy in the room shift. Each moment that passed layered on another piece of pressure he hadn't anticipated. Between newfound excitement and the fear of potential letdowns, his heart danced uneasily. "You okay, Jake?" Claire asked, gently nudging him back to the present. He managed a nod but felt a prickle of anxiety begin to grip him. I don't want to let you down. Or Emily. That's not going to happen. Just remember why you're doing this in the first place," Claire replied, her sincerity cutting through the noise. "This is about your passion, your love for cooking and building a future for both you and Emily." Emily chimed in, her voice bright and unwavering. "Daddy, you can do anything. I believe in you." The innocent faith in her words washed over him like a warm hug. It reminded him of the many times they had spent together in the kitchen, the laughter, the messes, the small victories. He couldn't turn his back on it now. But as he looked around, observing the world of culinary ambitions unfolding before him, the doubts tangled with hope. Would he falter as demands increased? Or could this lead to a life where he could provide more for Emily? He glanced at Eleanor again, her notebook full of ideas and potential paths. "Okay," he said, the decision settling in his gut. "Let us do it." "But I'm scared." "Good," Eleanor replied, a bright smile breaking through. "Scared is good. It means you care." And just then, as joy swelled in the air, a phone buzzed loudly, cutting through the chatter. Claire's expression shifted instantly. She looked down, her brows knitting together. "Oh no, it's my sister. I have to take this." As she stepped away, a shadow of uncertainty flickered over Jake again. He had barely committed to this new dream, and now there was a rift forming, unwittingly threatening the bond they had. What if Claire's call changed everything? Jake squeezed Emily's hand tighter, his heart thumping wildly as uncertainty bled back in. Could he navigate these new waters with the same ease he felt in the kitchen? And if things shifted for Claire, how would that affect their futures? The air around him felt charged with possibilities, each choice a thread weaving through the tapestry of his life. So many questions loomed, but the answers were far from clear. What if pursuing his dream meant redefining the roles in their little family? What if this opportunity was the catalyst for more than just a culinary career? He glanced at Claire, who seemed deep in conversation. The stakes felt higher than they ever had before. What awaited him on the other side of this leap? As the evening wore on, Jake realized one thing: the future was a puzzle waiting to be solved. And he was prepared to uncover the pieces, no matter how challenging the journey might become. But what would he find when the dust settled? The tension in the room thickened as a new development emerged, one that could turn their lives upside down in an instant. Would it shatter their dreams or unite them stronger than ever? Jake watched Claire's face, searching for signs of what could be unfolding on the other end of the line. Each second felt like a minute, stretching until it threatened to snap. Emily noticed the change, her tiny brows furrowed, and she sensed her father's unease. "Daddy, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice small but steady. Jake forced a smile, brushing away his spiraling worries. "Nothing, sweet pea. Just a little phone call drama." But the drama was thick in the air, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting. Eleanor was watching Claire closely too. The room buzzed with laughter and friendly banter, but Jake felt as though he was trapped in a bubble of uncertainty, where the noise faded to a dull roar. A few minutes later, Claire returned, her face pale. "I have to go," she said abruptly, glancing from Jake to Emily. "There's been an emergency with my sister." "What kind of emergency?" Jake asked, panic rising. "She needs me, Jake." "I'm so sorry." Claire's eyes flashed with regret. "Can you hold down the fort here for a bit?" Jake nodded, numbness settling in. "Yeah, of course. Don't worry, Emily," Claire added, kneeling to her level. "I'll be back as fast as I can. You take care of your daddy, okay?" Emily nodded as Claire leaned down for a quick kiss. Jake watched her hurry out of the room, a flurry of uncertainty trailing behind her. The warmth that filled the space moments ago was now replaced with a chill. "What happens now, Dad?" Emily's voice cut through his thoughts. He took a deep breath, trying to shake off the cloud of fear that loomed. "I don't know, buddy. Let us just stay here and have fun together," he said, convincing himself as much as her. He squeezed her hand, forcing the corners of his mouth up into a smile. "How about we grab some snacks?" As they moved toward the spread of finger foods, Jake's gaze drifted back to Eleanor. She had resumed mingling with others, her presence commanding and vibrant. A flicker of envy sparked within him. He'd never been the center of attention, never had that kind of confidence. But today, even as Claire had left, he had taken a leap, hadn't he? "What do you want?" Jake asked Emily as they reached the table filled with trays of colorful treats. "Can I have some cupcakes, please?" she asked, her eyes shining. Of course. Jake grabbed a cupcake and handed it to her, but his mind was elsewhere. He flicked his gaze to Eleanor's animated conversation, searching for the reassurance he needed. The seconds stretched on. Without Claire here, he felt the weight of his decision creeping back in. Was he really ready for this? The idea of a food blog, a cookbook, it all seemed like a dream floating just out of reach. Suddenly, a commotion from the other side of the room grabbed his attention. A tall man with an air of confidence had entered, and heads turned at his presence. The chatter decreased as this new figure captured the room's attention. "What is going on?" Jake asked, leaning toward Emily as they continued to enjoy their cupcake. "I think people want to hear him," she replied, her eyes round with curiosity. Just as the man stepped forward, Eleanor's voice rang out, "Everyone, this is Dominic. He is a well-known entrepreneur." Jake's heart raced. Dominic? He knew of him. The guy was famous for turning small businesses into empires. Was this some sort of twist of fate? His mind scrambled with thoughts. Maybe this was the opportunity he needed, a chance to pitch his ideas if only he could find the nerve. The room buzzed again, laughter blending with eager whispers as Dominic started speaking. The confidence in his voice could charm the most hardened critic. Jake clenched his fists, the air thick with possibility. Could he approach Dominic with his culinary ideas? What if the future of his dreams rested on this very moment? As he watched the exchange and felt the energy radiating, one nagging thought persisted: was he brave enough to take this chance? Could he step into the spotlight, join this whirlwind of ambition, and maybe just maybe find a path that led to his dreams, and a brighter future? For Emily. But what if he faltered? What if he fell short and clung to yet another missed opportunity? The question lingered as he shifted the cupcake in his hand, uncertainty mixing with burgeoning hope. What would happen next in this ever-twisting journey? Would he find the courage to seize the moment? Jake wiped his hands on his jeans, forcing himself to focus on the cupcake crumbs instead of the mounting tension in his chest. As Dominic continued to speak, his confident tone resonated through the room, and Jake felt a flicker of inspiration ignite within him. Maybe today's the day, he whispered to himself, mostly from fear, but also from hope. Emily, cupcake in hand, was still watching the spectacle with wide eyes, absorbed. He took a deep breath and mustered the courage to make a decision. "Okay, let us go closer," he said, surprising even himself. The words tumbled out before he could change his mind. "What? Can I get another cupcake?" Emily asked, her fingers sticky and excited. "No, no. Just follow me," he said, urgency in his voice as he led her closer to where Dominic was holding court. The crowd thickened, laughter cascading like a wave, but Jake's feet felt anchored in place. The idea of interrupting someone like Dominic was terrifying. Dominic's story dripped with ambition, and Jake found himself oddly captivated. He spoke about transformation, about taking risks and believing in oneself. Each word seemed to urge Jake on, and before he knew it, he was pushing through the crowd. "Dad," Emily tugged on his sleeve, "are you sure?" "Yeah, buddy," he replied, his heart racing. "I mean, why not?" The closer they got, the more Jake could feel that familiar weight of doubt creeping up. Was he really going to embarrass himself in front of all these people? Just then, Dominic finished a sentence and paused, as if he could feel Jake's hesitation. "Anyone here got a dream they want to share?" Dominic asked, scanning the crowd. The room fell quiet, the only sound was the soft rustle of fabric and the tremor of excitement in the air. Jake's heart thundered in his chest. "Me." The words escaped before he had a chance to swallow them back. The room turned curiously to him, and he felt like all eyes were piercing through him. Dominic smiled, encouraging. "Come on up. What's your dream?" A rush of adrenaline coursed through Jake. He swallowed hard, glanced down at Emily, who smiled up at him, her small presence somehow empowering. He stepped forward, heart racing, battling the wave of self-doubt. I want to start a food blog," he stammered, feeling the heat of 1,000 gazes. "And a cookbook. Because I believe food can bring people together." There was a ripple of murmurs through the crowd, some leaning in, intrigued. Surprised, Jake sensed a spark of hope, a slight thrill. "That's fantastic." Dominic replied, genuinely enthusiastic. "What kind of food are you talking about?" As he spoke, Jake began to relax just a little, the warmth of Dominic's acceptance washing over him. "Home-cooked meals, family recipes, simple things that remind us of home. I'm a single dad, and my daughter. Good to have you on stage, Dad," Dominic laughed, glancing at Emily. "What's your name, little baker?" "Emily," she giggled, clearly enjoying the attention, her cupcake nearly forgotten. Eyes twinkled with innocent pride. "Emily, do you cook with your dad?" Dominic asked, engaging her. "Yeah. We make cookies and pancakes and sometimes I help with dinner." Laughter erupted, and Jake's nerves found footing in that light-hearted energy. The crowd's demeanor had shifted, their focus wavering from skepticism to curiosity. This was a moment of connection. "Everything starts with a recipe, right?" Dominic continued. "What's yours, Jake?" Jake thought about it. His heart raced as he felt the weight of the moment. His dream lay across this chasm of uncertainty. "I want to share the recipes that keep us close, you know. Food that reminds families to gather at the table, no matter what." Dominic nodded, clearly impressed. The crowd murmured encouragement, and Jake's chest swelled with sudden pride. "Let's build a bridge to those recipes then," Dominic proclaimed. "I'd like to hear more." Encouraged by Dominic's backing, Jake felt a warmth rise inside him. This was bigger than just pitching an idea, it felt like an invitation to begin a journey. But just as his confidence soared, the stark reality of Claire's absence crashed back down. What would she think? Would she be proud, or was this all a mistake? As thoughts collided in his mind, Jake stood there with a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation. This single moment, once filled with doubt, now brimming with potential, left him breathless. Could he really carve his future from the ingredients of his heart? What would happen if he dared to mix ambition with vulnerability? The crowd waited in anticipation, and the next words remained teetering on the edge of his lips. Would he embrace this opportunity or let it slip yet again? Jake felt the air shift in that instant. He had stirred something in the crowd, a hunger for connection that mirrored his own. The weight of their stares was both a burden and a blanket of comfort, urging him on. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment, heart racing. I guess what I'm saying is I want to inspire other families," he continued, voice steadier now. "I've learned that food can heal. It can bridge gaps. I just want to help others find their recipes for joy." He scanned the crowd, eyes lingering on faces lit with interest. The warmth from Emily's small hand clasped around his own was a lifeline, a reminder of what truly mattered. Dominic's smile grew broader. "That's powerful stuff, Jake. Inspiration often starts at the kitchen table, doesn't it? I love that you're aiming to bring people together. We need more of that in this world." The crowd erupted once more in encouragement, applause echoing around the venue. Jake's chest swelled with an unfamiliar joy. "All right," Dominic said, directing the energy of the moment, "let's pick a recipe, and you can share it with us." Panic rushed back in like a wave. "Oh, right now?" Jake's throat felt dry, the pressure suddenly immense. What recipe could encapsulate everything he wanted to say? Emily perked up, her eyes wide with excitement. "Dad, what about Grandma's lasagna?" Jake's heart sank and lifted all at once. Memories of Claire flooded him, not just of her absence but the warmth of their family's kitchen. "Yeah," he finally said, gaining confidence with every word. "My mom's lasagna. It was the ultimate comfort food for us." "Perfect!" Dominic exclaimed, clapping his hands together. Let us hear it. The audience leaned in, eager. As Jake began to describe the layers of noodles, cheese, and love, he found his rhythm, feeling the memories of shared meals wash over him. Each layer is like a story, you know. The kindness of my mom, the laughter at the dinner table. He trailed off, feeling a surge of emotion. Even in the hardest times, this dish brought us joy. I want to share that same feeling with others. The crowd listened, enraptured. Jake could feel a connection blooming, weaving through the room like the scent of fresh herbs. "That's beautiful, Jake," a woman called out, a hint of tears in her voice. "I can feel it." Jake was taken aback. Sharing his story was more than just personal. It resonated with their collective experiences. He wasn't just a single dad talking about food, he was a father sharing his heart. As the applause surged again, Jake felt a warmth spread through him. Maybe he was onto something. Maybe there was a path ahead that didn't feel so lonely. But as the excitement enveloped him, a nagging thought loomed. What if this moment was fleeting? What if the enthusiasm faded when he stepped off that stage? Would he have the courage to pursue this dream? Jake hesitated, glancing at the sea of faces before him. He could almost hear Claire's voice, urging him to follow his passion. But could he keep the flame alive? The journey ahead felt uncertain, brimming with possibility. But doubt still lingered, lurking just behind his newfound ambition. Just as he thought he might speak again, a sudden siren wailed outside, cutting through the energy. Heads turned, and the crowd's attention fractured. Jake's heart raced. What was happening now? The joyful atmosphere morphed into a ripple of concern. He searched for Emily, their eyes meeting in a shared moment of apprehension. In that instant, a new question emerged. Was it time to embrace this opportunity and push forward no matter the distraction, no matter what lay ahead? As Jake stood with his heart pounding, he knew one thing: change was on the horizon, and he could either embrace it or let it slip away. What would he choose? The siren's wail faded into an uneasy silence. Jake's heart pounded as the air thickened with uncertainty. A million thoughts raced through his mind, each one louder than the last. Was something urgent happening outside? Was Emily safe? He locked eyes with his daughter, her brow furrowed with worry. Whatever was happening, she mirrored his anxiety like a reflection in a still pond moments before the wind ripples through. "Stay here, just for a moment," he murmured to her, squeezing her hand gently. He stepped closer to Dominic, his voice barely above a whisper. "Do you think everything's okay?" Dominic frowned, scanning the crowd. "I don't know," he replied, his brow knotted in thought. "Let us hope it's nothing serious." Jake turned to the audience, now a mix of curiosity and concern. I'm sorry," he stammered, feeling the carefully crafted moment slip through his fingers. "I think we should check what's going on. Everyone stay seated." As he moved toward the exit, the crowd shifted, murmurs like waves crashing against a shore. Each step felt heavy. What if this was a distraction from the path he had just begun to carve? Outside, the scene was chaotic but not catastrophic. A fire truck had pulled up, blaring its lights, with emergency personnel already at work. Jake's heart sank further as he spotted a group of people gathered a ways down the block. Curiosity drew him closer, but fear urged him to turn back. What if it was someone he knew? "Dad, what's happening?" Emily asked, her small voice cutting through the confusion. He knelt beside her, his heart tightening. "Sweetheart, I think there's been an accident or something. Stay close. I won't let anything happen to you." A fireman waved over to the crowd, calming people down. "It's just a small kitchen fire. Everyone is all right." Relief washed over Jake, but a sense of dread lingered like an unwanted guest. Small fires often turn into big problems. Chaos could erupt at any moment. "Can we go back inside?" Emily asked, fidgeting. The event had felt like a beacon of light, and now it was shrouded in shadows. "Yeah, let us go. We'll figure this out." As they turned to head back, another wave of applause rolled from within. Voices lifted hopeful and vibrant. Someone in the crowd must have started a chant, and the energy was returning. It hit him like a breath of fresh air, presenting a choice that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. "See," Jake said softly to Emily, forcing a smile. "They're still excited. It's still our moment." As they re-entered, Jake could see a flicker of determination amongst the faces before him. They were waiting. He was the one they had come to listen to. But doubt clung to him like a dense fog. Could he regain that momentum? Could he inspire after being yanked so violently from his moment? "Let us keep this going," Dominic encouraged, looking straight at Jake. "Your message is too important to let a little chaos distract you." Jake inhaled deeply, grounding himself. He felt a flicker of the confidence he had just briefly possessed, igniting within him once more. "You're right. Let us talk about Grandma's lasagna." The cheers rose again, wrapping around him like a warm embrace. But in the back of his mind, a question lingered: what if this burst of support was just a fleeting spark? Could he transform this energy into something lasting? Would the inspiration hold up amidst the chaos of everyday life? What would it take to turn that spark into a steady flame? With those thoughts swirling, he began to speak, hoping this time he could articulate the heart of it all and lead them on a journey of connection. What if he could do more than just share a recipe? What if he could craft a movement? Jake stood on the makeshift stage, the applause washing over him like a gentle tide. The earlier chaos melted away, the warmth of hope filling the atmosphere like a rising sun. He looked toward Emily, her face flushed with excitement, and the sight of her made his heart swell. This was more than a moment, it was a transformation, both for him and for all the families he longed to inspire. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the love he felt for Emily and the memories of his grandmother blending in his mind. "I started cooking to fill a gap," he began, feeling the connection in the room tether him. "To give Emily the comfort our family recipes represented. But it became more than that. I want to inspire families to gather around the table, sharing stories, laughter, creating their own memories." The crowd leaned in, captivated. The mere act of speaking felt liberating, like shedding heavy chains. Cooking isn't just about feeding the body, it's about nourishing the soul. Dominic stood nearby, nodding in agreement, his presence like wind beneath Jake's wings. Encouraged, Jake pressed on, excitement trickling through him like melted cheese from a fresh-built lasagna. "A long time ago, my grandma taught me that the kitchen is the heart of the home," Jake continued, his voice growing stronger. "It's our sanctuary. It's where we heal, celebrate, and even grieve. It's where love is cooked in every layer, just like in my grandma's lasagna." Lively murmurs of approval emanated from the audience. Jake could see their faces reflecting understanding and connection, a collective recognition of the truth in his words. "I lost myself at times, doubting my abilities and questioning if my dreams were worth pursuing. But each time I looked into Emily's eyes, I regrouped. It was not just for me anymore, it was for her. This is for the families who need to feel that love too." A silence hovered, every soul absorbing the weight of Jake's heartfelt words. He met Emily's gaze again, and the pride reflected back at him reminded him why he was standing there. "And now, I want to take you all along this journey with me. Together, we can build a community around love, food, and togetherness." Eleanor stood firm, her expression beaming, knowing greatness awaited Jake beyond even his imagination. "Let us share our family recipes. A journey awaits all of us. I want to create a platform where our stories intertwine, our cultures meld, and we create unforgettable meals that connect generations." The crowd erupted in applause, and Jake felt the pulse of support surge as an overwhelming wave from the sea of faces he embraced. In that moment, Jake realized the fear that had once plagued him transformed into fire, one fueled by the shared struggles, the common dreams, and the quest for connection. Before he knew it, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "I want you all to join me. Let's make recipes together, not just of food, but of our lives." Let us inspire each other to turn our kitchens into sanctuaries of love, just as my grandmother did. He finished with a smile, heart full, as the crowd erupted into cheers and applause. But it wasn't just the applause that mattered, it was the vibrant energy he felt surrounding him. A hand brushed gently against his arm. It was Claire, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "You did it, Jake. This is just the beginning." Her words echoed through him, and just then, Emily jumped into his arms. "You're the best, Daddy. Can we make lasagna together now?" He chuckled, squeezing her tight. "Of course, sweet pea. It's time to create our next recipe." As they made their way through the embrace of cheers and congratulations, Jake promised himself this wasn't just a victory. This was a new chapter, a chance to uplift others while nurturing their own little family as well. Tonight was a beginning, where dreams reignited, connections flourished, and Jake found the strength to not only dream but to inspire. With Emily by his side and a newfound family behind him, he embraced the path ahead, ready to cook the journey of life, one recipe at a time. This was just the start of something special. If you felt the emotion in this story, now it's your turn to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories about love, family, and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow this amazing community. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters. And don't you dare wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the love and warmth of family together.